Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion through vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, passing it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Hello, it's you. Hi.
It's us. Here we are.
Hey, it's all of us. So Fontana's coming back on because she was our first guest, and she herself, genius that she is, had the idea of like, remember I was your first guest? Are you guys at 100? Should I come back? And I was like, uh-huh.
So we are at 100. Let's say that. This is our 100th episode, y'all.
I can't believe it.
We are I was going to say a decade, but that's not true. We're a century.
Yeah. Fucking 100 episodes. It seems like a lot.
Ask the guy who has to edit them all. Yes, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And Fontana also is recently putting me on a bunch of speechless gigs and like training me in the speechless thing and all that, which I'm sure the one-on-ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And very recent. Now, yesterday was supposed to be my first one with a client, and she was going to train me in the morning, and then I was going to do one in the afternoon. Woke up at 7 a.m. with the most horrifying sharp pain in my stomach that I've ever felt in my life.
Oh, this is exciting.
Mm-hmm. And nausea like I've never felt. Couldn't shit, couldn't puke. Had some shitting. Thought, okay, I'll be better now. Nope, it just got worse. Couldn't even drink water. I would put water in my body, and my body would go, nah. And it would hurt more.
Now, you didn't eat the same cabbage roll that Rami ate, did you?
I did not.
Okay.
So for the listener, Rami and I went to Philly this weekend. Rami got food poisoning on the last day. I did not get food poisoning. 2 days went by. Rami got fine. All of a sudden, I was in bed yesterday. Tons of pain. But I have a very different reason, which is all related to the podcast.
Okay.
So, but the point being, I had to call Fontana at 8 a.m. your guys' time and be like, I literally can't lift my head or drink water or function at all. How hard is it for you if I don't do this today? And she was like, oh, not at all. Everybody wants to do these. Don't worry. And she was like, made it so easy for me to not have to work. And I canceled 900 things, which I just love doing. I hate doing it. And I laid down all day. My neighbor brought me ice chips because I just couldn't hold water down.
Ugh.
It was so painful. Poor little doggy was just laying on me all day. My neighbor ended up walking her, which was great. She did defecate. No, everybody's on the edge of their seat. Did Squeezle poop?
Yeah.
And then throughout the night, there was a lot of sweating. And then in the morning, I woke up with a terrible headache. Stomach pains are gone. And I'm doing a lot better. But I honestly can't remember the last time I've had that much pain in one day. Now, where did it come from?
Yes, I would like to know.
Of course, I did my thing where I'm looking at psychically and in the records, is it this? Is it that? Is it food poisoning? No. Is it, all the questions. Is it COVID? I took like 3 tests. No. Is it a flu? No. Is it a virus?
Just burning
no.
through tests, swabbity,
Swabbity.
card swab. You peed on one of them just to make sure. Is this how it works? Am I pregnant? Also, wait a minute.
6 drops of pee into the little 6 dropper. If I were having any sex with anyone, pregnancy could be I could be having a virgin birth.
Yeah.
I'm pretty woo-woo.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get down to like...
Wait a minute. Is this the Raw beast? The same one who entered Raw unwillingly? Did this beast enter you unwillingly?
You're saying, did I get spiritually raped?
I wasn't going to use that word, but you did.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But I'm me, so...
yeah.
So I don't think I did, but in a sense, because here's what actually happened. My Tuesday night Star Beings class happened the night before. What day is today? Thursday. Yeah. So Tuesday night, we did a healing for that class on and this is a perfect topic for us here, on resistance. And what I know about resistance is that when we resist anything, 9 times out of 10, we also have unconscious resistance to the opposite of that thing. So
can you give a separate example of that idea that's not the one you're about to talk about before you frame up the actual idea? Why would you do that, Cass? That's a terrible thing. I just don't quite understand that.
No, I'm about to explain it.
Great.
I'm fully about to explain it. So, like, let's say you resist going to the gym. You feel better and you remember how good it felt to lift weights, but you're just like not doing it. I don't want to. See, that's obvious, right? I'm in resistance to going to the gym. Now, underneath that or behind it or next to it in relationship to it, there's also a resistance to being right where you are and not going to the gym. You're pissed at yourself because you're not going to the gym.
Right.
You're not okay with not going to the gym. So you're resisting the fact that you're not going to the gym. You with me?
Okay. Yeah.
So the way
you're being pulled in two directions, but neither of them are the actual place you want to be for some reason.
And the image I do, that's a perfect image. I like this one. Like you put your left hand to the left of your face up in the air, and you put your right hand up to your face to the right side of your face up in the air. And now this is me. My left hand is me resisting going to the gym. And then I'm over here with my right hand resisting not going to the gym. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So now I'm stuck between two walls. I live in this tiny little place of frustration constantly. So if we clear the energy of resistance to the gym, and I just lowered my left hand, and we clear the energy of resistance to not going to the gym or, staying how you are or whatever you want to call it, and I've lowered my right hand, now I'm free to choose. I'm not coming up against so much internal resistance. Now, I'm speaking for myself. I find myself in the middle of the day going like, I just feel like lifting some weights, and I'll go downstairs to the gym for 20 minutes and lift weights. And it doesn't have to be a big, huge hour and a half, but it's something, and it's not nothing, which is where I was stuck before. So this pattern, this teaching, this whatever it is, can be used on so many things, on so many levels. I'll give a couple more examples of some things that came up in that healing class, which is why my body went into so much detox the following day.
Yeah, I'm super curious about how that's going to connect to you having a burst appendix or whatever it was that happened to you.
Well, it was a liver and spleen detox because I was holding in my liver, not to mention let's back up. So in the class...
Sorry, you were going to give another example.
Yeah. In the class, some of the examples of things, the students, I explained the concept. We talked through people's questions about it. People wrote down what they resist. I helped them figure out which 3 resistances they were going to bring to the healing session at the end of the class. Okay. And each resistance had a polarity to it. So if you did going to the gym, you'd also do not going to the gym, like we just said. So other examples of that are being loved and adored, being ignored and dismissed. Okay. Intimacy and connection, isolation and solitude, love and anger. Those come up a lot. Like people will resist their anger. I shouldn't be angry. I should be loving. But then they're mad at love because they should be loving. So they're resisting love. So you're stuck again between the two walls. So what I did not account for was that in clearing the resistances of 8 people, both sides of each person's polarities, 3 each, plus my own, because I was also like saying to the gods, okay, and I had my own list, in other words. So I'm going with like my deepest shit and 8 other people's deepest shit. It fucked me the fuck up because the body holds resistance along with the mind. It's not just the mind. We tend to think like, I'll just coach myself out of this thing. I'll just push myself to go to the gym. That's what we do. We have resistance. We go, I'll just bulldoze my way and just like override the resistance, right? Which is understandable because if you don't know how to clear it, what else are you supposed to fucking do?
Right.
So when you actually take it away, wherever it's living in 3D form is going to process its way out. This is something anybody who's ever worked with me knows I say almost at the end of every session and every class. Don't panic if over the next 3 to 5 days you have some really weird symptoms. If you're really tired, if you're really angry, if you're really hyper, if you can't get out of bed, if you feel sick, don't panic. It's going to pass. It's your 3D body internalizing and processing and releasing that which we just cleared from 9D and beyond. So when I was looking psychically the next day at like, what is this? The only thing that read was, this is 3D clearing of everything you cleared yesterday, 9D for yourself. I didn't even know I was going to get that much of a fucking clearing from fucking class for other fucking people.
Oh, but it was yours. It wasn't, you weren't holding other people's stuff. You don't do that. That side quest, because I thought that's where you were headed, is that you had basically siphoned off all of these resistance bodies, and then they were stuck in your liver now because you had forgotten to shit them out at the end of this, you know, like you sucking the venom out of a wound and then spitting it, but you hadn't spit. You had swallowed, Katie.
That is the greatest analogy image. I wish it were true only because it's so fun to listen to.
It's so off base, so not how your system works. But that's where I thought you were going. I really had a snake bite, forgot to spit it out.
First, it was you forgot to shit it out, which I appreciate so much.
Well, especially because the liver and spleen thing, I was like, there's got to be some shitting involved.
Fair enough. Dude, all day long I kept saying, like, people were calling me and texting me, and I'd be like, if only I could just shit this out. So in a way.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Because you know how, like, nausea and stomach pain is kind of the fucking worst? I mean, throat pain
and
is
actually,
the worst.
when puking is a joy.
Oh. And you're just like, thank God I puked. Exactly. I was so jealous of Rami because when Rami had the food poisoning, they puked and they were like, I haven't puked in 26 years. It was the best thing that ever happened.
Pukes.
Is that amazing?
Side story on that topic, if I may.
Please.
This is a long time ago. We were having a party. So I hate other people puking, right? As we mostly do. Most of us do. Sorry, puke warning. CW. Content warning. Puke to be discussed. And, you know, someone else puking is like the worst for one who is witnessing it. I think for me, it was.
You mean like because you empathize with their pain or because
also the smell, the visual, all the things that go along with it are just the worst. I hate it.
All right.
And this is years and years and years ago, but we were having a gathering that involved a little pill called ecstasy.
Yeah.
A little ecstasy party. And it was fun and there were people and we were having a good time. But Rami hadn't started rolling and was feeling more and more and more sick and kind of got the sense that they had taken the pill and it had gotten stuck like partway down and was like lodged and just like releasing.
Oh, no.
And then like whatever. But there was this sense of just like, I'm not processing it, but I'm also not, I'm suffering from it without getting any of the joy.
No.
And they were getting more and more sick and unhappy and miserable. And I was high as fuck at this point, which also meant I was in this very tactile, very like connected space. I was just like, you know, and we ended up like going into the bathroom and I was kind of like just hanging out with them, like going, okay, let's whatever, you know, let's release this. And then finally, and I was like rubbing their back and boop, boop, boop. And then finally they were, and it was a fountain it was a brown fountain. Weirdly, the puke was. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Fuck it. It's a story. Deal with it. And it was the most beautiful thing to me in that moment because I was on that ecstasy tip. So where everything, you know, and when you love, you love.
Yep.
You know, on ecstasy, like, I love you so much. And the relief, it was the ultimate version of like compersion, where like I knew that the relief they were feeling was so top flight.
Yeah.
That I've never been more in love with someone hurling their guts out in that moment. I just remember going, yes, beautiful puke. Anyway,
And that was Rami?
That was Rami. Sorry, I didn't make that clear.
Was that the last time Rami?
No, Rami has puked a couple times since then, but it was really close.
Okay.
Right around that time was the only few times Rami just never pukes.
Rami has several things about themselves that I'm always like, why are you the luckiest person in the world?
Well, sometimes not puking isn't a good thing for this reason, as we see. Like sometimes you really wish you could puke and you just don't.
I mean, except that like if you know that, I guess from my perspective, if I know that my body is processing the whatever some way, then you don't need to freaking puke.
But you wanted to puke yesterday, didn't you?
You're right. You're totally right. You're right. But then I immediately go to like, well, if I don't have to puke, I'm kind of, it's doing something.
I hope.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just in denial.
Let's ask Rami. We're going to have them on the podcast in a couple of weeks. We've already decided to tell another story that we're going to save. Let's save that story because I think it's
so good. Tempted to go into it.
Don't do it. Save it so you can tell it together. It'll be better.
Oh, God.
It'll be better.
I can't talk about the oracle we met.
Not yet. Not yet. Save it.
But it
Save
was
it.
an oracle.
Pin.
There was a
I'm stabbing
portal.
you with a pin. We're putting
There was
a
a
pin in
portal
you.
and
Great.
an
You have other
oracle.
stories. Okay, keep going with this pukey thing. What happened then, ultimately?
Okay. So I was in hell. My neighbor came over and, like I said, took the dog out, hung out with me, did some work in the living room, which was so sweet. She just like did her day in my living room, which just made me feel less alone. And
God, you have great neighbor friends.
fucking A, right? This building has been really a godsend in that
Got a
way.
little community. That's amazing.
A little team, little Melrose action. Anyway, and they have some stuff.
Is
She has some
anybody
stuff.
fucking anybody? Like
I
across the hall?
They've got to be, right? I'm waiting for it to be me. I'm down. Who's available? We have like a murderer across the hall from me. And I'm like not feeling it. And he's married. And then there's a single guy at the end of the hall. Pretty sure he's gay. There's everybody else single is not. There's nobody single. Oh, there's another single guy. He's really cute, but very short and probably 22. And I'm not feeling that.
Okay. The 22 or the short?
22.
Okay.
I'll take short. Short guys are like a lot of times they okay, in the same way that those of us, myself, very much at the top of this list, who were chubby, frumpy, weird in any way in high school, smart, different, had to develop other abilities, personality, sense of self, being good at sex, because we weren't just pretty and perfect and fitty-inny.
Right, because people were judging you for stupid reasons from the outside.
Yeah, so you develop sensitivity, empathy, connectability. I find short guys oftentimes are thoughtful, intelligent, sensitive, tapped in because they've been through some shit.
Yeah.
Anybody who's been through shit in this world?
Yeah, I'm running through the short people in my head, and I'm like, nah, great person. Oh, I love that person. Oh, great person. Yeah.
Kind of true, right? Yeah, so I'll take short. I don't mind. The only thing I have trouble with is like, but this is my own thing that I'd be fine to move past, is like just feeling, because I feel large already all the time, like overweight large. So like being tall and overweight in my psyche, even though some of that is body dysmorphia, it's like hard to walk around being like, great, I'm a triple giant now because you're short.
Because I'm hanging out with this smaller person.
Yeah, and I feel like a giant person, but that's all.
Yeah.
Shibbity pow pow.
That's all 3D bullshit right
What
there.
about you, man? How the fuck has your week been? It's a lot about me.
I was house sitting, so that was really nice. Just had a little like 3 or 4 days kind of on my own because, I had a little apartment to myself, which you do every day, but it was nice to have a few days of just like, shit with the door open, walk back and forth to the shower, whatever you need to do. Just like be a human.
Yeah.
And not worry about other people. But also, I go back and forth on that all the time in my own soul.
I hear you.
About like.
So do I.
Like wanting desperately to have a place to myself and then really loving the community that I have, but then also wishing they weren't there, but then loving them.
100,000,000%.
Anyway, so that I did that. It was fun. I saw clients yesterday while you were not seeing them.
Was it
I didn't see yours, no.
Oh.
In fact, one of mine didn't show, so I got a little extra time off, which was nice, because then I had auditions for the play that I'm auditioning.
Oh, that's right.
And that was cool and pretty close to being cast, so I won't talk about it until later, just because, whatever.
That's exciting.
Had at least one just knock it out of the park audition, which is so satisfying when someone just destroys and you go, yes, thank you for being what I need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rock on.
And I'm going to be directing. I'm still also directing one of our friends. Our friend Sydney is going to be in the show.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sydney Schwinn?
Sydney's in the show. Yeah. She was sort of precast somewhat.
39 Steps?
Yeah.
Where?
She's going to play at Livermore Shakes. Come on out during that time.
She's deeply connected to those guys.
Yeah. She was sort of a company member, so they were like, hey, can you use Sydney? I was like, if she auditions, I'll probably approve. And she also destroyed in that audition in the best way.
Who's she playing?
Excited. She's playing, quote, the woman, which is the sort of 3 roles, the 3 main female trope roles. And she was great. And I'm very excited to work with her. She's a dear friend. We should have her on the cast sometime.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, it was a good week. Just worked and hanged out.
Hanged out. Sure. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, nothing, no big reveals this week on life.
Listen, I had all the reveals any of us needed. I did it for all of us.
Yeah.
I did all the deep dive, puke-related reveals.
Do we need any additional follow-up on what you realized then as a result of going through this?
The only thing I did really, really I woke up today, like in the same way where when you have a good puke afterwards, you ever feel like you have a new lease on life?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You puke something out and you're like, everything is great.
Or a good butt fountain happens and you're like, I can go on. I need to replenish, but after that, I am so happy.
That's kind of where I'm at today. I still have this weird fuzzy brain and headache, and I had to move some clients again because I'm just like not available. But in terms of, I walked the dog, I took her to the park this morning, and I was like, snow is so beautiful, and my friends, they matter so much, and we only should ever do things we want to do in this life. Like just getting a lot of clarity and a lot of just feeling like clear, because like whatever the fuck was all backed up in my liver isn't. And then my body's like, I'm good. But also like, frankly, I cleared all these polarities and all these resistances. So like, I'm excited to see what I have energy for and willingness to do. And I mean, that's a whole conversation we can get into. And we can get into it with Fontana. She'll like that topic. So let's bring her in.
Fontana, you're back. We're just happy to have you. That's all. I'm not going to explain anything to you.
Excellent. I'm going to put my earbuds in, so please bear with me.
I need to tell you real quick, that picture of you that's on your Zoom, whatever that is, can we just see it again for a second?
Just turn off your camera so we can see it.
Sure.
I want the listening audience to see this so badly.
We're going to have to get a link of that picture, put it on a thing, and then put it in the show notes.
Sure.
You look drunk and windblown. Like wind has made your hair do that. But you're hammered and you're giving a speech.
Yeah.
And you're a man. You're wearing like you're a man speech, windblown, drunk person.
Yes. And working with Claire Slattery in that moment.
I guess.
Who is your favorite improviser. You know, it's fine. She's mine too.
She's hard to beat. She's hard to beat.
Really is.
She has a child.
I know. And the most magical, I gotta tell you, this kid Remy, like there's some babies that you're like, oh, let me hold the baby. Okay, you can take it back. I'm like, this is my baby. It's my comfort baby. And I want this baby with me all the time.
Very sweet. Okay, Fontana, you're fucking back. Episode 100. Guys,
Episode 100. We've done 100. I don't think we've acknowledged this enough. This is a really big moment. You've been here clearly close to the beginning because you were our first official on-air guest. Not our first question, but our first on-air guest.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, right. That's true. So wait, probably,
do
we know?
Circle,
totally.
baby.
Do we know what episode that was that Fontana was with us? 3, 4, 5, something in there?
We'll look it up.
I think so. It was pretty early on. Yeah.
I mean, and it is weird because when we released the first few episodes, it was all out of whack timing-wise. We alternated.
But look at y'all. You're all slick now. You're like, yeah, whatever. Pop out another podcast. No biggie.
So Cassidy just got to hear, as did Desmond and all the listening audience, the entire story of my shitstorm yesterday, literal shitstorm, because you were involved.
A wee bit. I had a little splashback.
Yeah.
Nice. Well done.
8 a.m. splashback.
Yeah.
That to give you extra credit. Calling this woman, she's in her bed in the morning, and I'm like, good morning. I'm shitting my life away. Can you replace me for the day?
Wait, was it 8 a.m. Fontana time or 8 a.m. Katie Rubin time? Oh, okay, so it's like 11 Katie Rubin time.
She did the math, guys. She did it.
And see?
You got the math right?
Yeah.
I added. I subtracted. I did. I know. Math is real.
I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Thank you very much. And I'm so sorry. I can only laugh because the part you didn't get to hear yet, which the listeners now have to hear twice, but I won't do a long version, is what caused it, which was the healing class I led the night before, where we cleared resistance and the polarity of resistance for 8 people, three resistances that each have 2 halves for 8 people, and my own resistances. And my little system said, oh, Okay. Well, that's living in your liver. So we're going to go ahead and just detox that liver in one 24-hour session. Have a seat. And I was telling Cassidy that I always tell my clients, like, just don't freak out if for the next 3 days after a session, you're a little fucking weird or a lot fucking weird. Because I've been there. But it's been like 10 years since I've had a crazy reaction like that to light work. I mean, I think that's true. Does that not seem true, Cass?
I feel like you.
I'm always having.
I don't think
something.
It's been years. You go down some
Fair
reactive
enough.
rabbit holes
but
in your
like
life.
the kind where I do a healing session that I'm physically sick for the next 24 hours.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't remember the last time that happened. Anyway, it was real bad, and now it's a whole lot less bad. And so I'm very grateful. And we were talking about that thing of, when you puke, and I didn't puke, but like just metaphorically.
Wait, are you okay to talk about puke, Fontana? Because some people.
I'm good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I've digested my breakfast. Go ahead.
Okay. You know when you vomit and then afterwards you feel like a new lease on life? Not just like I feel better and I'm not sick, but like psychologically you're like, oh, everything's okay now. And what was I ever upset about with regard to like my clothing or my moods? You don't care. You're like, my body functions. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I've been like walking around the park today, just like everything about existing is incredible because I'm not in constant pain.
I feel that about camping.
Oh, say more.
Uh-huh. I will. So camping.
Thank you. I will.
Yeah.
Yes, and.
So a lot of people really hate camping. Like they don't understand why would I want to go and like live in nature. But there is something so incredibly basic about it, like being able to provide food for myself and my family.
Okay.
In the outdoors. It's like that flow state of I'm so you have to be in the present moment because you're fighting for your survival, and there's beauty and magic and redwoods and all that beautiful stuff. But it is when you come home, like your house is a fucking miracle. A toilet that flushes.
Mm-mm.
Soft towels that are clean.
I get you.
Like, yeah.
I really get that. I feel that way. Okay, this is the bougie version of the story you just told. Fancy hotel.
I'll bet you Fontana's story was also kind of bougie because I imagine it was like fighting for your surviil with a nice Coleman stove and a lovely three-person tent with a pop-up
right
thing. And
we have cell phones and
Anyway, sorry.
No,
What's
but
your
fair
bougie?
enough
Cell
because
phones don't work, so we don't have cell phones.
Oh, no cell phones.
Ooh, that's rough.
I mean, you could drive 20 minutes to reception, maybe, unless you die from the elements first.
Bigfoot. Sasquatch.
Bigfoot. Just I feel that way about hotels. When you go to a fancy hotel, every time I travel, I try to get the most affordable fancy hotel I can get. And it's always just like, oh, life is heaven. Everything is good. Because somebody else is making it happen. It's pretty. They bring you the everything's clean. You don't have to clean it.
Fontana and I worked a gig one time that I still giggle about this moment. They flew us to Arizona to do this gig.
Phoenix, Arizona, people.
Phoenix, but it was like outside. We never actually went into the city. It was some resort outside of in the country, in the desert. And you had these casitas, basically, that you lived in. It wasn't a hotel room. It was a separate freestanding little house. Every person was staying in these tiny little houses. They weren't so tiny. Fontana calls me on the phone, room-to-room call or on the cell phone, whatever, crying.
Yeah.
Crying in tears. This place is bigger than my apartment that I share with a wife and a child.
Oh.
The bathroom alone was the size of our studio. Like I actually screamed out loud seeing the bathtub. So
it was really nice.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where you had to like spend time in each part of the hotel room, even if you didn't want to, so you could utilize it. I'm going to watch TV from this couch, and now I'm going to go get naked and go sit at this table, and then I'm going to take a bath and then take a shower.
Yeah.
And then I got to do something with this part of the house because damn, you don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
I hate waste. Like I don't know if it's being raised by a Jewish mom or something, but like nothing goes to waste. So I feel that in like a hotel room or like an airplane, like I need to use all the things and take whatever
they have
I can.
to offer.
Interesting.
I was looking at a picture that I want to show you that's not me, but I'm going to share my screen. Ooh, it won't let me. So I have a picture, and I don't know how to share it with you.
It'll let you in a sec. Well, Desmond will change that setting.
Okay, thanks. Of my biological grandmother that is my face on this lady I've never met.
Whoa.
It is the craziest thing, and I'm dying to show you.
Now, okay, for
Try
the
again.
listener.
Can you share screen?
Here, yeah, here we go.
Fontana has recently found family members she never knew about or had access to. Is that right? How would you tell the story?
Well, I totally want to tell this story, but let me let you see this picture first. Okay, can you see this?
The one on the top there?
This lady with all the children?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
That is not me.
That is not you. That is not a younger Fontana.
Well, I mean, that looks like from the 1920s, so I hope it's not you.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Or the 40s, maybe?
I think so, yeah. Or actually, maybe.
Because the fashion, by the fashion I go,
yes.
That's clearly not
you.
you.
That's clearly not me. But I don't know how to explain this other than, I'll stop sharing, other than I have never in my life experienced seeing a picture of somebody that I'm biologically related to besides my mother. Like my mother was adopted, my birth father was MIA, and so that's it.
Right.
The only ancestor that I knew is my mother. And so I did 23andMe at the beginning of Pandy, as I'm calling it now. And I was really trying to determine that my birth father really is my birth father. And I had also figured out that a friend of a friend on Facebook, pretty much probably my half sister. And we are both actresses. We have mutual friends. We've studied with the same people, never met this woman in my life. And so I did 23andMe to like find out if she's really my half sister and if this is actually my biological father. Meanwhile, my mother's adopted family reached out and found me. So I wasn't even imagining that I could find her biological family. So I found her brothers.
Your mother's adopted family. Wait.
No, my mother's biological family.
But the before thing, when you were growing, when your mom was growing up with this family and then became your mom, but then lost touch with this family because that family you just said reached out to you more recently?
My mother was given up for adoption at birth.
Right.
Right.
But you said something about the adopted family reached out to you first.
I made a mistake.
Okay. Sorry. I got confused.
I got confused. Yes, I'm going to say the right words. So long story, very short. I have met and gotten to understand and learn about my mother's biological family, which, my mother passed away like 10 years ago. And so she was always just really devastated by being given up for adoption and yearned so much to know who her mother was and where she came from and everything. So I'm getting to experience all of that. And so I'm having a lot of like, oh, my poor mother didn't get to have this healing, which would have been so, so incredible for her. Meanwhile, I'm getting it. And I got to tell you, you lovely humans, it has been way beyond my imagination to be able to feel tethered to this earth and to these people. And I got to meet my Italian uncles, and they are incredible and so loving. Like right away, you got Italian uncles now. They still talk like they're from New York, even though they live in California. And we're going to protect you. And, if you have problems with this,
I know a guy,
meeting your biological father, I know a guy, like they gangster ties. And also so many actors in that family.
What?
And models. I know.
Wait a minute. The picture you showed us is who?
So that is my mother's real mother, biological mother, and all of my mother's half siblings. So they don't have the same father.
So your mom had a lot of kids.
That's your grandma.
Your grandmother had a lot of kids.
Yeah, had a lot of kids. She had 5.
Why, if she had so many kids, why did she give up your mom?
Because she was 15 years old.
Oh, she had those kids later.
Oh, wow.
And she was forced by her mother to give my mother up.
What?
She did not. She loved my mother and was.
Wait a minute. Did your mom know this?
No, I'm the only one that knows this. She's gone. She died. Breast cancer. Cancer sucks. So I'm learning all of this healing stuff that, that generational DNA trauma, and I get to heal, which is fantastic. And it's really, really, most of it is really beautiful. There is like regret and if only I had, but can't go back, right?
Wow. So wait, let me just try one more time.
Yeah.
I am extra bad at this. So your dad, your biological dad, you knew him growing up or you didn't know him growing up? Didn't.
Last time I saw him, I was 2 years old and he was 18 and my mother was 23 when I was born.
So he was not in the picture.
He was not. And then I find out through my half sister, because she and I were communicating on Facebook, that.
And this half sister is your dad's daughter,
right? Who is also an actress and has friends in common with us, and like studied with the same acting teachers and stuff. So she lets me know that they had offered to adopt me when I was like 1 or 2 years old. Now, knowing what the trauma of my mother being adopted and being, torn away from her mother.
They
like
being
that.
your biological dad and his new family.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that either.
They said, hey, they reached out and said, hey, we would like to, we could adopt Fontana if you don't want to take care of her or.
Yeah.
They said that to your mom.
To my mom. I mean, this was 1969 and women had no rights. And she was a single woman living on welfare.
Right.
And so so they had split already, the dad and the mom.
He got married to this other lady before I was born. So
okay.
he had two ladies pregnant at the same time.
Okay.
Oh, so you and your half sister are real close in age.
No, she's 11 years younger than me, or 10 years younger than me. Yeah.
Oh, so there's another.
But there's another. Yeah, I have a half brother who is like less than 9 months younger than me.
Right. That's the one that was with this. Okay.
Oh boy, it's a lot.
Well, I said dad was running around doing some stuff in life.
I mean, he was 18. It was 1967,
We weren't real good at birth control at the time.
Not if they could get it, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. And here we are. So all of it has been healing for you, but also difficult, of course. I'm hearing you say it kind of. Is that...
I mean, a lot of, like, I've had an incredible relationship with my stepfather after he died. Like, I felt like our relationship continued, and I'm feeling that in a really beautiful way with my mom right now. Like, Katie, very difficult relationship with my mom, narcissism, addiction. I love her. She loved me, but whoa, howdy, lots of trauma that I have inherited from that relationship. So being able to understand and appreciate what it is to know about where we came from on her behalf and my behalf and my son's behalf has been like, I never expected how this would feel, like to have the cells align. And I gotta tell you, just simply looking at that picture, and there's another picture of her when my grandmother when she was older, and I'm like, that's my leg. Like, she has the same leg and feet as me, right? I don't know. I've never experienced that before. I look so much like my mom, and then that's it, right?
This is so fascinating to listen to, because my experience of if I go, that's my leg, it's with people I don't want to be. I'm not like, oh, my mom. I'm like, yeah. There's not a lot of, I don't have any nostalgia. I don't have any like, the family. A little bit. My grandmother, my mother's mother, I love her. I feel connected to her. Anyway, it's just a very different relationship to family. So I love hearing your perspective, because I'm like, I don't relate at all. And I love it. It sounds lovely. This is very common for me, that I always feel I'm definitely the odd man out when it comes to, I'll put it this way, like, all the family members I've ever met, it's never become a thing where it's like, oh, and now we're tight. And now I feel like I have family and people are Italianing, brothering me, and I feel protected. Never. Except until my stepsister, who is actually related to me 0%. We have zero blood tie. And she is like my favorite relative. We're tight, thick as thieves. I love her to death. Feels like I finally have a relative. One relative that feels like a relative, and we are not blood related. So to me, like, blood relations are just not a thing that I sometimes think like I don't miss it because I never had it. And I don't know. And then all the efforts I ever made to be like, I'll be connected to my mom's cousins. I'll be connected to my dad's brothers. Not really.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
really.
My entire life has been chosen family, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But so I think I'm extra interested when you say how, you didn't know how it would feel and you're like the cells aligning. Can you say more about that? I don't know. I have any idea what you're talking about.
Well, this mystery of why my mother was given up for adoption has definitely haunted our family forever. Like, and my mother not having very good boundaries would let me know about all of the trauma in great detail. And, she would let me know how she tried to commit suicide when she was 7 years old and had always been suicidal and struggled with it and struggled with bulimia. And like none of this was spared to me as a little tiny baby child.
Oh,
right?
boy. Yeah.
So there's that complication. So to be able to know what happened to my mother, not that it justifies how she, was with me and was in the world, but to be able to deeply understand, like as an actor, getting into the skin of the character and to know, she was given up for adoption by a woman who did not want to give her up and wished to God she could have raised her. And what would have happened had my mother stayed in that family and had been the oldest of all of these kids. And then comparing like the familiarity and love, unconditional love that I felt with my new to me uncles, as compared to the people that adopted my mother, who my mother and I always felt like fish out of water. Like they were just so different than us. Really critical, not really authentic, so judgmental. Like they're the rich part of the family, right? And so they just were very different class-wise.
These are the people that adopted your mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, Stagecoach or Auction House?
Stagecoach and Auction House is actually the story about my stepfather, who I feel really weird saying the word stepfather because he's the only father that I know. So my dad, Tim Butterfield. So I'm not even biologically related to him. So that Butterfield story is like.
One time I introduced two friends of mine, both with the last name of Butterfield, Fontana and my friend John, both with the last name of Butterfield. I introduced them to each other. Then they ended up working together at our summer camp later on. But in the meantime, the first time they met, I think John just looked at Fontana and he said, Stagecoach or Auction House? And Fontana said,
Stagecoach.
And he's like, yeah, me too. Which is their way. And I was like, what the fuck just happened?
What is happening right now?
Would you explain the secret code that the two of you exchanged?
Wait, can I guess? My guess is that there were famous Butterfields in history, two families, that split, and one of them had money and one of them didn't. And you guys come from the didn't.
Pretty much nailed it.
Pretty much.
But what is so Auction House was the rich ones?
So Auction House was Butterfield and Butterfield Auction House, which I don't know. It was a big famous auction house in San Francisco, and I don't know more details about it, but because that's the other side of it. Like, why pay attention to that? But the Stagecoach story, and this is from my stepfather's family, was that Butterfield and Wells were partners on a stagecoach company, and Wells screwed over Butterfield and joined with Fargo.
What? So they would have had a big old lot of cash.
Big old lot of cash.
That's a big loss, Mr. Wells.
Yeah.
But we also remember that then nothing would have happened as it happened. Although, no, it wouldn't have changed you because, well, your stepdad dad probably would not have existed because the timing of things would have been different.
I mean,
but since he's not biologically related to you, it wouldn't have affected your existence.
All. Right. Meanwhile, both my mother and my stepfather are the whitest people ever. Like white. So they're probably related. So getting the 23andMe was so fascinating about that.
Was the family Butterfield? Were there two brothers? One who formed the auction house and one who tried to be a stagecoach maven?
Yeah, that's the story I know, and I'm going to keep telling it that way. It may not be true.
And it seemed to be consistent to John understood it.
Yeah.
So that's the prevailing mythology among all Butterfields.
I'm like dumbfounded. I'm fascinated on so many levels. As I'm listening to you, I'm going, I want to clarify it too, to make it very clear. I wish I had the feeling of cellular connection to family members. That's really a beautiful thing. I've had these tastes of it over the years where like my dad got a little healthier over time, teeny tiny little bit, wee little moments of being emotionally open. And I'd be like, oh, that's what connected to your dad feels like. I'm talking about like 2 seconds, literally. Like, here's a great example. And I mean, this is like a big topic in the sense that like when I was in Colorado and do you guys remember when that person was stalking me? And I had to, I didn't have to, but I chose to leave the state and I drove to my dad's house. I had this like deep, because he happened to live 3 hours away from where I was living.
Across a state line.
Across the state line to get away from bad, scary man. But it was a deep gut feeling of go to dad, go where it's safe. But I had never, ever once before, I don't have any memory of feeling that before that day. I'm sure when I was a young kid, I had moments I must have felt that somehow. I don't remember them. They weren't common. And I had so much trauma from other shit at the time.
Weasel!
That was she left off the table, but had a rough go of it.
And we watched it happen. It was not the most graceful moment of this dog's life. Not a cat, apparently.
Not so graceful.
She's like, I can't listen to this. I can't listen to this.
She's like, this is too dark, you guys. Anyway, long story long, because my dad has grown and changed in his years of sobriety and post my mom and whatever, I knew that like once I got to his house, you know, he'd isolate himself in his office and we wouldn't really talk a lot. We'd talk for 10 minutes and then he'd be gone the rest of the 3 days I was there because that's what he does. But those 10 minutes are nourishing. He gives me 10 minutes of nourishment. And I had a therapist at a certain point who said, when we're looking at relationships with parents who can't be parents, we have to look at, are you in a situation where you have someone who's only taking from you and harming you? Or are you in a situation with someone, which is the case with my mom? Or are you in a situation with someone who's really damaged, can't give you much, but can give a little and doesn't take anything from you? And that's my dad, where it's like, he can only give a little, but even that little feels so good that I just soak it into the sponge of my being and love those 10 minutes. And then I spend, frankly, it's a great situation because I spend the rest of the 3 days just like lounging by his pool and living in his big, beautiful house and driving his Lexus around. So like, it could be worse, you know, it could be a lot worse. But getting that 10 minutes of love and connection and relatedness. And he's very like me personality wise. And I do get to feel that family. Oh, there's the genes that connect us. So anyway, I think just.
Well, that deep relief thing.
Yeah.
That you don't feel because you don't understand it. But remember, when we swim in the water already, we don't always perceive the water. So like,
right.
You are now describing that you do actually somewhat understand that weird genetic, even with a very damaged person who you wouldn't like if he weren't your father, probably.
Oh, I'd like him. We're too similar. He's a sassy motherfucker. He's great. But I hear what you're saying. Like you're right in that just getting because there were 0 minutes when I was a kid and it turned into 10 minutes or let's say half an hour each time I see him. That's more than I ever got. So it feels like a big, tall glass of water compared to desert. You know what I mean?
And is that similar to sort of what you're describing? It's like you didn't have it and you didn't ever understand this feeling, Fontana. And now, oh my God, that's what that feels like.
That's what that feels like, to be unconditionally loved and welcomed in and celebrated just for who I am. I mean, sitting at my uncle's table and eating this delicious food that they made and prepared, and they went all out for us when we arrived. And then they were like, if your father doesn't want to know you, he is missing out because we just met you and you're fucking incredible, even if we're not related to you.
Oh my God.
I know. I know.
Can they be my uncles?
Yes, they probably would love that.
Oh, so happy for you.
It's really, really incredible. Yeah. And that's, it's top of my mind definitely today is like, you know, if we go into the records, and I think that the question that I want to ask is about my biological family. So I'm not sure exactly how to phrase it or whatever, but like so the thoughts are, would it be beneficial to me to pursue meeting my birth father, or is there danger there?
Birth father. Hold on. Let me track this one more time. Birth father didn't raise you, disappeared when he was 18.
Didn't raise me, did not meet me when I was 14 and I found him and said, yeah, I don't think it's a good time for a family. And I talked to a lawyer and you can't get any money out of us. And I don't even know if you're really my kid. So that happened when I was 14.
And do you now know for sure that you're his kid? Yeah.
And he knows now too.
I already get a read on it, but sure, let's ask in the records.
And then on the other side, like I just want to know about my mother and her biological mother. Like, are they together now? So my mother, Marjorie, and her mother, who had to give her up when she was 15.
Who's the woman in the picture that we looked at?
Whose name is Iva.
Iva?
I know,
cool
right?
name.
How's that spelled?
IVA.
Iva.
Keeping it simps.
Are they in the South somewhere? That sounds like a Southern name or a Norwegian name.
I think they're from England.
Oh, Iva.
Mayflower. On the
Butterfield, Mayflower. Those sound like they are. I know it's not Butterfield at all.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just pulling up my prayer here so we can do this if we desire to do this.
It's a good time to go in if we're going to do it.
Okay.
Cassidy, I've listened to every single one, and I really appreciate how you hold time and space. It's so nice.
Good old QC.
But it just sounds like the stage manager, like, all right, here we go. This is what we're doing. And then we're talking about going into the records. It's like a simple thing.
Guys, we got a schedule to keep. If we're going to talk to the all that is and the great oversoul that helps unify all things, we need to get to it.
And keep your hands in the doors, please.
Keep your seat in an upright locked position while we tap into the records of consciousness. Here we go.
No big deal.
NBD. Okay. I also, just because we do this on this podcast, I can't help but say, I mean, as I'm listening to you, I'm overwhelmed by the two-ness of your two-ness. You know, how two-y Fontana is and the most lovely, wonderful. Do you know what I mean? Fontana's almost like the archetypal two. Yeah.
Healthy too. Thank you.
Yeah, you're not a drain. You're not a vampire too.
No.
Well, and tell me if this is two-y, is that Katie, when you were describing your parentage, all I want to do is mother you.
That's the two. Yeah. Now, it would be unhealthy if you just started mothering me without me asking. I'd be like, back off because I'm an 8.
And I'm independent. Fuck you.
Yeah. I don't need anything. I'm not vulnerable. Don't touch me.
I just want to hold you and rock you.
And I just want to, and then I would step in and be like, how would Katie perceive me if I started to parent her? Would she still admire me or would she like me less? Because that's going to affect how I approach this moment.
He's a 3.
Okay.
That's how that goes. I just did a whole Enneagram class with it was supposed to be a writing class, but as is regular with me, acting class is supposed to be acting class. It turns into healing class. Writing class is also Enneagram class. Healing class is also human design class. It's all one thing. Let's drop in. Because I actually do believe, the artist or whatever, whoever you are, it's who you are. So if you know who you are better, then you know how the machine works, then you can use the machine as the machine was designed to be used. I'll tell you something I already get really clearly about your mom and her mom. Yes, of course, they're together now. And you have to understand the way the oversoul works. Like the soul is not just the human that dies and then goes to an elevated place. That's a part of the soul. Then there's a bigger part for a lot of people, not for everybody, that is elsewhere. So heaven or that unified field of consciousness where relatives rejoin and hang out together and have bliss and love and their hearts are connected. That's one place a part of the oversoul could be at any given time. So I like to say that just because that's the kind of podcast this is. But already it's like, yes. And I can feel them there together and I can see them there together. And there's a big family table. Let's open the records. Fontana, what's your full legal name, Fontana?
Fontana Butterfield Guzman.
Guzman, that's right. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we close our eyes. We'll just breathe into the low belly. I mean, We'll feel our feet flat on the ground, and we'll see those foot chakras spinning at the bottom center of each foot. Open and wide and open and wide. And from the bottoms of each foot come 500 tree roots of light anchoring hundreds of miles down into the planet. So we send 1,000 tree roots of anchoring through our feet. And we'll watch as a grounding cord extends through the base of the spine to the center of the earth. And it receives a river of light given by the earth up through the cord, down through the legs. Up through the cord to the base of the spine, forward into the hips, down through the quads and glutes and hamstrings, and knees and calves and shins and ankles and feet. And that river of light nourishes, activates, nurtures all of the roots below your feet now. And through that tripod grounding system of anchoring to the here and now, we allow our bodies to soften even more and open at the heart even more, and at the throat and at the center of the head. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Fontana Butterfield Guzman in the light of the Akashic records. Oh my goodness, help me to see Fontana Butterfield Guzman through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Fontana Butterfield Guzman have for Fontana Butterfield Guzman. Is it Guzman or Guzman?
Guzman. Guzman.
Right, Guzman. The accent is on the on.
Yeah, married a son.
I just don't want to say it incorrectly to offend anyone.
Guzman.
Guzman.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll be quiet for just a moment here. So I'm just sitting with, like, I don't know if you've been listening to this podcast. We've been talking a lot about going into the records of consciousness lately. Oh my goodness. And I'm just asking if it's in your highest good for us to go there, and they give me a no. And then there's this. Okay, good. Yeah. So the yawning I'm doing and the yawning you're doing is the clearing of a kind of heavy energy that's present here. Let's stay with that for a moment and just keep clearing that. Okay, yeah, that's good. And so all the energy you're carrying that isn't yours, but it's the energy that's glommed onto your organs and heart and energy body from other people, will you return it to sender now, Fontana? Okay, we ask that you take that. Okay, we ask that you take all of that, Lords, Masters, and Teachers, the records of Fontana, Dissipate and release it across all time, dimension, space, reality. Send it back to who it came from. Whatever's appropriate. Ground it. Send it to the light. Expand it. Dissipate, release. Whew. All right. I hate to do this, but I have to do this. There's a very particular frequency that comes up for me when there's a lot of marijuana in a conversation. And there's either somebody smoking a lot who you hang out with a lot, or it's yourself, or both. And it's not a judgment, but it is an awareness of, okay, this energy we're clearing keeps you from being aligned with the lighter, brighter essence of yourself. There's been a lie perpetrated in this culture that weed gets you closer to the essence of yourself. But it doesn't. You know, and of course, is it bad and wrong? No. Does it dim your light? Yes. Is it bad and wrong? No. Does it sometimes regulate you in a way that you could use your spiritual practice to regulate you and then have no side effects from? Yes. That's better. It's clearing. We'll just keep clearing this for just a minute. Oh my goodness. They're bringing me to this. This is very specific, but there was a person I dated years and years and years ago where I was just stepping onto all this energy work stuff, and I think I was doing TM, Transcendental Meditation, at the time, and okay, if you could feel into your heart while I tell this story, I know that sounds wacky, but the story is part of the energy clearing. And he was very smart and very talented, very interesting, and yet every time I would hang out with him, after I would hang out, I would have to meditate immediately. I would get in my car, I remember, sometimes right outside of his place where he lived, and I would do TM, and then I would feel a little bit lighter and more centered and back to myself. And I remember I was talking to, I think, my sponsor at the time, or a therapist or something, and I said, well, you know, as long as I meditate after I see him, I'm good. She was like, wouldn't it be nice to be with someone you don't have to meditate after in order to feel okay? And I was like, oh, good call. But underneath that whole thing was a belief I was carrying that, like, there couldn't really be someone that easy to be around. And also that life itself could never feel, just at its baseline, good and light. Okay, now feeling into your heart. And I'm just waiting to see where they're taking us with this. So it's like, weed is like that. It's like, and whether it's you or someone else, and you don't have to talk about it, but like, whatever it is, wherever it's coming from, that energy, it's a thing that makes you feel better, but temporarily, and then in the long term is piling up and piling up and piling up this kind of residue on your heart that you then have to recover from. So why do a thing that helps you recover from life so that you then have to recover from it? And the answer is because your culture teaches you that's the way. Take these drugs, medicine, medication, America, doctors. You know, and that's not your way per se, but that's in the collect. Take a thing, put a substance in you, and then you feel XYZ. We wish for you, beloved, because you in particular are such a vehicle of so much light. Mm. Oh. Staying with the heart. Every time you dim your light, and we know you don't intend that, but every time you dim the pain, you also dim the light. And for a light vehicle such as yourself, it's like taking the electricity out of a city. You know, it'd be one thing if you were like a little mouse person who didn't really affect lots of other people, but your effect on people is incredibly large, far-reaching, and palpable to many. So we would wish for you that you wouldn't dim the light on the city. Now there's just a little remaining nugget here, and it's very subtle, and it's in the center of the heart. If you picture the heart chakra as like a sphere, like a softball, let's go right into the middle of it. Okay, so thank you for that. Any questions so far? Thoughts, curiosities, insights, anything at all you feel like saying or asking or sharing?
I think I'm just sitting with this feeling, hearing the voices of my guardians, and it feels very loving. Definitely feeling shame about it. And I know that it's really true, and it is such a thing I do to escape, and I really appreciate this.
I hear you. That all makes sense. Whew. Okay, so from here, when and if and as you're ready, if you want to ask stuff, now I can hear and read, but we have to clear the smoke, as it were, or the fog, so that I can even hear inside your field. So we're good, if you want to do that.
I would love to. I mean, it sounds like you felt a big reaction to, is it in my highest, best interest to get to know my bio father and his bio sibling.
Okay.
And there's also his wife who reached out to me on behalf of him, so I still haven't heard from him. So he has like...
So wait, she reached out on behalf of him, and you responded, and then what happened?
That's it. My half-brother is going through cancer treatment, so they needed to wait to go to the next step.
And your half-brother is your dad's son with your not mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were both in wombs at the same time.
Got it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask all these questions I'm asking internally out loud. So is it in Fontana's soul's highest good to be a connection with birth father, right? That's what we'll call him? Okay, no, big fat no. Now, is that about timing? No. Is that about him? Yes. Okay. Would anything beneficial come out of it for Fontana? No. So then what are we to make of the fact that his wife contacted Fontana. How do we frame that? Okay. You know how, my gosh, there's a lot here. So the first thing I want to ask you though, Fontana, is when she contacted you, what did she say?
She wrote back to me in an email and said, my daughter has let me know that you've connected and that you are indeed his daughter. You know that we're going through this thing with our son, and we'll figure out the next step soon, was pretty much it.
Did it feel welcoming and loving?
Not as much as the daughter. The daughter and I felt really, really connected to her through the past, like, almost 3 years. We've been communicating, and she's been very loving and empathetic.
Okay, and that's
not
the
how I felt.
half sister.
Half sister.
Got it. Okay.
Who's been my main contact.
Give me just a second. All right, well, all I can do is give you what I get. I keep being like, where's the good news? So first I'll start and we'll see where they take us. The first piece is, I think he's either narcissistic or equally as unwell, maybe borderline personality, which is really, as you know, toxic as hell, like really hard to navigate. And I get there's something in the personality that is really not well. There's something very out of balance, very off for him, that for you would be quite confusing, disappointing, dysregulating, not fun, not nourishing, not great. Now, with the wife, I'm also like, are they going to hear this? But I'm going for it. Is that what you want? Okay. It's like she's functioning from obligation. I should write this woman back. He should know his daughter, but we can't right now, and he doesn't want to, and I don't quite get why he doesn't want to, but also like, fuck it, I don't really care. And she's kind of like, okay, what people do is they email this person, and she feels really not right in the heart, like heavy dents in the heart, in a kind of, if you think about what it takes to stay, are they married? Okay. Bah. If you think about what it takes to stay married to somebody with BPD, borderline, or a narcissist, you got to be pretty defended to like survive that, and to want to be there. So it's not a super healthy system, and now it's like, okay, we want for you, this is the guides, right? We want for you nourishing things, love and light, things that support the Fontana machine. This would not do that at all. And you've got plenty. The one value it would provide is, oh, okay, I see where all that, I see why I don't need that. I see where some of the challenges I struggle with in much smaller, subtler ways come from genetically. But you already have a handle on all that. So they're like, there's literally nothing you benefit from here.
That is wild and feels so true.
Yeah. What's wild about it?
It's wild in that this has been a lifelong journey of, I would spend, every time I went to a library in the olden times, I would find phone books and look him up and try to find him my whole life, right?
That's sweet.
And then when I was 14, I reached out and he contacted us and he was like into it and happy. And then a month later said, well, I talked to my wife and we decided it wasn't a good idea. And we don't even know if she's right.
Yeah.
And then my mother in my 20s told me, I want you to know that he was a heroin addict. And I knew right away I did not want to spend any time with this man. And so she needed me to know more details about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I found this half sister who, like, I had this whole fantasy world about we're going to know each other and I'm going to be able to heal about this and how wonderful to meet these people. So I don't know if like there's any bit of this that would be healthy. Like, would it be healthy to even know her? I would like to know if that's
she's the one who is her? Sorry,
my half sister.
The one who contacted you, or the one you've been
in contact with for 3 years? Yeah, who's the actress and.
Okay. Yeah, that one's better. That one's not a fully lost cause. She's got some stuff to work through in her womb, specifically around. Well, anyway, she got some stuff to work on. So is she like the healthiest person you'll ever meet? No. But is she toxic and horrible? No. So it's fine. If it makes you feel good, go for it. Just being aware that like, there are certainly people you could know. It's like with family oftentimes in general, how there are family members where you're like, well, would we hang out in my free time? No. But at this dinner table, are you the best one here? Yeah. It's like that. So, yeah. Okay.
I'm curious what they might say about my mom's side, my uncles who I'm in love with.
What about them? Let's be specific.
Like, is it in my highest good to keep pursuing contact with these folks?
Could I have one of their names?
George and Maddie. Those are my two uncles.
What are the full names of one of them?
George Giglio.
Wow. Yeah. And then the other one?
Maddie Giglio. Gillio.
Yeah, George is particularly light. Yeah, there's a lot of love there. I mean, it's a big yes. Yes, yes, yes. Be in touch with them. Yes. All of the yes. It's really sweet. Yeah. Is there any reason not to? No. There's a lot of like this kind of energy. Bouncy, levity, fun, joy, family, laughing together. It makes me want to go like this. I wish that.
But it's pretty much how I felt the whole time I was with them. I was like, this is great. This is good. What else is happening?
Oh, that's so cute. No, they're pretty great. Yeah, it's just as soon as I tap into somebody, I start to go, okay, we should clear this and that. Like I'm already like working on second guy's low belly, but we don't have to do that right now. What else?
There's so much cancer in that side of the family, like so much. So many people that have died from cancer, and I've told all my doctor all about it and got all the tests. And
wow.
From your mom's biological family.
Yeah, and then...
Which is your genetic code, so you need to know about that.
Yeah, and then on my bio dad's side, my half-brother is now he's in stage 4 colon cancer.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Light
Good
stuff.
times.
What else would you like to know, if anything?
Yeah, if there's anything from my, that relationship with my mom and her mom and me, it just, I mean, my mom and I were always so psychically connected. And I feel like she was psychically connected to her mom. And in conversations I've had with you, like you've pointed out my son's abilities too.
Oh, right. Mm.
And then I have a witch in my ancestry on that side from the Salem days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious, like, about that lineage.
Mm.
Is it true? Is it happening? Yeah.
Say more. What else are you curious about specifically? Is it true? Is it happening? Yes. What else?
And am I nurturing my son's connection with that? Is there things that I...
Sure seems like it.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah.
The 3 indicates a time to learn, write, teach, or develop new ideas, collaborate with others, and create win-win situations. It's also the number stamp of the Ascended Masters, particularly multiple 3s, affirming their connection with you. Ascended Masters, that's your family, your lineage. Well, actually, sorry. No, it isn't. That's my romantic idea of what I want to be true. What's actually true is your family, this lineage is connected to the several Ascended Masters. Yes, they are in line energetically with high spiritual beings. They all could have nurtured it more, a lot more. And you have the opportunity to nurture it more. And your son, is doing the best of all of you so far because he has you, of course, right? You're the one going like, yes, these things are real. Yes, you're not crazy. Yes, you see what you see. And I see you asking him questions too. Really? How was that? Then what happened? Oh, how did you feel then? That is good parenting. And yeah, anything you can do that doesn't make him feel crazy, that makes him feel validated and not and held in the, look here, let me look. They're always so damn direct, and so am I, and together it's like shapow. The bottom line is he's going to be misunderstood by a lot of people. Let's be real. People are going to judge him and misunderstand him a lot of the time because of everything amazing about him, of everything that makes him gifted and special and heart-centered and soft. So there will be some misunderstanding of him by human idiots, okay? And it doesn't fucking matter. The only thing that matters is that you, everything you're doing and your partner is doing, which you're both doing quite well, to make him feel loved and special and honored, and boundaried, and there have to be boundaries and consequences for weird shit, behavioral, whatever. But when you help him understand through questioning, why did you do that? How were you feeling when you did that? It makes him introspect in a way that puts him so far ahead of the average child and young adult coming into the world that it's just such a huge gift. Does that all make sense so far? Okay, now, give me 1 second, because okay. All right, well, this is a bold one, but here we go. So he has such a unique frequency when I feel into it that I'm going, what is that? What is that frequency? And what I get is that he's actually of an angelic lineage. Like he actually has lived with or been an angel. He's lived in that realm and has come here to the earth needs angels right now. You know, and that's like a thing that all parents feel about their kids, right? Yeah. Oh, my son's an angel. But sometimes it's literally the case.
And of course it would be Fontana's kid.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Oh.
And so he needed, you know, you guys to be parents. Like, to be frank, you in particular, and Mary, but in a really different way. Anyway, he needed the balance of you two.
Yeah.
Really particularly. Because there's this innate honoring of the feminine. And, you know, angels are the divine feminine. They just are. That's what they are. So he's living in a human body with the soul of the divine feminine, angelic. That is, this realm couldn't be less angelic. And it's why people love angels, because angels, just so you know, are fully 100% bowed to the supremacy of the divine love. They don't question it ever for a millisecond. They just yes, sir, to the love. So it's just love, 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 no matter what. Unconditional. Which, as in human form, is fucking weird. People go, what is that? Because humans are judgment, criticism, separation, control, status, hierarchy. Anyway. Okay, so, but your question was, yes, yes, you all have abilities. Yes, you're all connected to an ascended master lineage. What else do you want to know about all that?
Well, it's just like there's been so many coincidences with this journey, and coincidences, synchronicity, mind-blowing stuff that's been happening. Like my mother and her mother were both models in New York at the same age. Even though she had given her daughter up for adoption and they never saw each other, they were 20 minutes away from each other in Brooklyn their entire lives.
Your mother and her mother.
Her bio mother, who gave her up for adoption, Iva. And then, like, my uncles lived in Venice when I lived in Venice, and we never met. And it's just like so much. And then, like, my half sister having like the same teachers as me. Like, there's been so much synchronicity.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if that's, I mean, I know a lot about why it's happening, but I'm just wondering if there's any confirmation around all of that.
What do you know about why it's happening?
I mean, I just have a strong sense of walking through history in this moment. And like, I feel like you've talked a lot about places. And when I'm in New York, I feel like something like just stepping off the plane. I feel this huge sense of wonder, and this is where I'm meant to be, and there's magic everywhere. And I lived there for a while, but it was like too much for me. I could only last like a year and a half there. I wasn't prepared for all of that energy. So I just feel like my lineage has been dancing around locations where I've been for so long. And it's just fucking fascinating that this is the moment that and it takes technology for us to find each other.
Okay, so I guess the question I'm asking then is something like, what is the significance or the meaning of how physically proximal you've all been to one another over the years, yes? This is so interesting. It is nothing I would have thought. Because first question I go is like, were they meant to meet each other? No. They're like, no, stop it. No. Okay. Then I'm like, all right, well, just show me what's up. Okay, picture a DNA strand, double helix, and imagine that each point on each side of the strand, like this, let's say each side of the two strands, right, is made up of little points of light. So, right? So you get what I'm saying? Okay. So you're like a point of light on the right side of one strand, on the right strand. And then your sister or whoever, I can't track it, is a point of light on the other strand right across the bubble where the two meet. You know what I mean? And so you're what is this? You're circulating around each other because, okay, in the same way that how string theory works, I don't know if you're familiar with string theory at all, but like, I'm only just a little bit familiar with it. And, you know, they talk about certain, as scientists are exploring and discovering more and more about how quarks work and how subatomic particles work, there are some where two particles are so related to one another that if one blips out of existence, the other comes into existence, and vice versa. Or if one moves over here, the other moves over there, and they balance each other out because they always stay in the same relationship to one another. That shit is going on at a subatomic level. I don't understand it at all, but this is what they're showing me. And you guys are like that on the double helix of the DNA strand of your family. So, as we've talked about on here before, each individual has a spiritual DNA strand double helix. The spirit, God, has a double strand DNA double helix. A family has a double helix. A culture has a double helix. All of ours are broken right now, by the way. All of our cultural, spiritual DNA strands. So, you orbit each other unconsciously. You can't know about it. It's just happening energetically. And that's why, which is so interesting to look at. It's like, and then it makes me think of viewpoints. You know, where there's that game you can play. There's a theater training system from Anne Bogart and maybe before. I don't remember the history, but anyway, where you play a game where people are, or a practice where people are walking through the space together, and you choose someone to always stay in relationship to, or you choose someone to follow, and then everybody in the room is doing that. So anyway, that's life. Life is all the people in the room, and you and the family member are the one you're following. Only not in any conscious way.
Wild. That is so wild.
But it makes some kind of sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, as I see it and they show it, it's like, well, that makes a ton of sense. And it makes me wonder, like, who's living 2 blocks over here that, what cousins are nearby? All right, let me close your records for a second. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, the lords of the records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. I say return Fontana Butterfield Guzman's energy to herself now. I say return her to her complete human wholeness now. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Fontana Butterfield Guzman are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Fontana Butterfield Guzman are now closed. Amen. Divine portal and the Akashic records of Fontana Butterfield Guzman are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. Okay, that was great.
Great stuff.
Incredible. I am so grateful. I have 2 anecdotes very quickly. One, my son's, one of his besties was in the same hospital at the same time as he. So we were both in the birth center of the same building at Kaiser. And her mom was telling me, I remember when I first got in, I heard this woman screaming so much and it terrified me. And I'm like, that was me. That was me.
And did they meet just because they were at the same school or something?
No, because we live in their same building.
What?
Which you moved into years after, or a few years after
ago.
The birth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was 7 when we moved here. So, and they're like brother and sister. They're so tight. It's wild. And then, like, when you're talking about him being like this angel,
was there maybe a switch? Maybe is she your daughter? And...
No way in hell. No way in hell. is that we've been fascinated with like Orlando is everyone's best friend. Like everyone claims him as their best friend. Adults are obsessed. Like Anthony Veneziali is like obsessed with Orlando. He's so magical. Families are like, can we have Orlando for the weekend? So there's a lot of people in his life that have just been huge fans of his, and this makes so much sense.
Okay, we all need an angel.
Yeah.
Big time.
So yeah, I'm so grateful. This was huge for me.
Oh, good.
Absolutely fucking huge.
Oh, I'm so glad. This came up in Philly, and we won't talk too much about it this time because we have to save it for next time. But there are angelic beings, and then there are earth beings, and then there are star beings, and there's all different kinds of spirit beings. And then there are people who are just on the karmic wheel, kind of working to become those things. Anyway, that's been like really up in my awareness lately, and it came up in Philly. And anyway, so it was cool to see. I discovered this years ago with a friend/client who she and I were both we were trying to figure out the answer to this one question. And it was like, is it because she's a this or that? Is it this? Is it that? And after so many questions, it was like, is she an angel? And then ping, 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 ping. And it was the only yes we got. And then for months we kept checking in and we learned so much about what it is to be an angel in a human body and to take this form through this client because we were just asking questions together. Wildness. Because I didn't actually know that was a thing. I don't know I didn't know that was a thing, that angels ever chose that. I mean, and there are movies about it, like John Travolta and whoever but like, that's a movie, right?
I'm going to go with the Wim Wenders' Wings of Desire first. Let's put that in front of the...
Fair enough.
In front of the John Travolta vehicle.
Fair enough. Anyway, so it's really cool to see it again and a bunch lately.
I just messaged you a TikTok of this young girl doing speaking the light language, the Lumerian light language.
Oh yeah.
And it's so fascinating. So I wanted you to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that language, and I've watched many TikToks of the same.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, I love you. Cassidy loves you. We gotta go.
Okay.
Let's get out of here. Love you all so much. You're already doing your work, but keep doing it.
I love you.
Mwah. And thanks for being number 100 with us and number 1.
What? Lots of ones and O's. I adore you. This is the best place to be on this podcast. Just so you know.
Bye, everybody.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
You asking for all of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
With 100 miles of running.